Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 4 of the WeCoach podcast on Wisp Sports. Every 2 weeks, we go one-on-one with some of the greatest women coaches, administrators, and industry leaders in the world of sports for insightful and inspiring conversations. I'm your host, Megan Kahn, CEO of WeCoach. This podcast is a co-production of WeCoach and Wisp Sports. I'm so excited to have today's guest, Agnus Berenato, on the show. In her third season on the sidelines for Kennesaw State women's basketball, Ag has a history of turning around struggling programs. Her career spans 31 seasons, including the winningest coach at the University of Pittsburgh and the second winningest coach at Georgia Tech. She's also attacked her battle with breast cancer with the kind of energy, courage, and poise she's demanded from her teams for decades. Let's chat with my longtime family friend and one of the most inspiring people I know. Welcome to the show, Agnus.
Hey, thanks, Megan. I'm so excited. I'm honored. You must have run out of friends or something.
Oh, no, you've always been on my list. I was waiting for February. It's the perfect month to have you on.
Thank you so much. It is a great month. We actually on Saturday just had our pink day, and on Tuesday we had our education day, and my team was so excited they got to wear their pink uniforms again. And, you know, I just think February is a great month.
Let's talk about your battle with cancer. You were diagnosed, in August of 2018?
Yes.
Is that right? Talk about that. I've read the article. Talk about that moment you got the phone call from the doctor.
Well, you know, Megan, I knew I had it. I mean, I think anyone that goes through it, they know, because we've all had mammograms, and you go in and you have it and you're done and you're on your way. But it's different, you know, when they call you back and then they need you to go to get an ultrasound and then they need you to go. So I knew that I had cancer. There was not a doubt in my mind. I just didn't tell anyone. And that started in June. And by the whole process, you know, when it finally ended up with the biopsies, et cetera, it was in August, and it was August 17th, and I was up in Woodstock with my daughters, and my daughter Teresa, my daughter Claire, and I was with my granddaughter Frankie. And I was trying to wait for a call all day and couldn't get it, but we were having a huge group for dinner that night and had to do shopping. And so I thought, well, let's just get in the car and go do food shopping. And as I was walking across the street, my phone rang. And so I had a decision to make. I just said, literally, when they said who it was, I told my daughter Teresa, I just said, here. And I gave her a pen and a paper. And I said, Claire, just watch Frankie. And we stood outside of a grocery store with Frankie in the grocery cart. And I put them on speaker because I didn't want to miss what they said. And I wasn't at a spot for me to just be able to write it down. And the doctor, you know, it's just like on TV, and they say, you know, we're so sorry to tell you the news, you know, that you do have breast cancer. And my two girls just looked, and I was like, just right, it's okay, it's all good, you know. And I mean, it was surreal, really, because people were getting grocery carts out of we didn't go into the store, but grocery carts. And right then this huge storm cracked and thunder, and I was like, damn, I can't hear. And but you know, we got off the phone and they just looked at me and we hugged, and we cried for a couple of minutes, and I was like, it's okay. And they were like, why didn't you tell us this, Daddy? And I'm like, no one knows. Come on, let's go. It's all right, good, let's go. We got shopping to do. We got to do food shopping. We can talk about it later. So we went in and we did our food shopping, and then we talked about it as we unloaded the groceries and started preparation for the meal. We had a lot of friends coming in. And but the moment for me was, you know what, I knew I had it. From a family that unfortunately has been hit hard with cancer. And I just figured, you know, I'm really believe in statistics, and, you know, I'm just another statistic. And I have been such an advocate for breast cancer my whole life. Since my mom died, I took a leave of absence when I was coaching at Ryder. I was only there 4 years. And, you know, I took a whole year off to take care of her, do hospice with her until she passed away of breast cancer. And so since then, I mean, it's been 35 years for me that I have been a front runner for breast cancer and for finding a cure. So it was only like apropos that I get it, I guess.
Well, that could be
really.
That could be true, and I've read that article that we just referenced there. It makes me smile because that is so you, of just taking charge of that moment, and everything that I know about you and your family is just the epitome of you right there.
Well, you're sweet. You're funny. Like, it was when we did get home, I called my son, Andrew. I wanted to make sure they each had someone, like his partner was with them. I didn't call Joey because Joey's wife, he was out of town, and Joey's so emotional. I didn't call Chrissy because nobody was with Chrissy. So like I had to really think about their emotional support. And my husband was coming in late that night. And when my husband got in, like my daughter, Claire, she was like, all right, Mom, come on, we need to tell Dad. And I'm like, chill, like we're going to have a cocktail. We're having this big dinner. Da, da, da. So we had the big dinner, and then, we were doing dishes, and Claire was like, come on, Mom, I'll go in and I'll tell Dad with you. And I said, like, you don't need to tell Dad with me. Like, I'm a grown woman. Like, I got it. And she's like, no, come on. I'm like, he's sleeping. I'll tell him tomorrow. And that's just really, I think, how you have to go about it. I feel like if I didn't have so much experience with it because of my own family, and people I know, then I probably would have been devastated and, worried, but it just picked the wrong person with me, because it's not going to stop me. 1 cent. It's not going to get me down. I don't have time for that. Life is short anyway. So just move on with it.
Well, and I'm trying to think back here. You had just recently lost a brother from cancer, probably not long before that. Would that timing be about right?
Yes. That is, yes, he died before that. And I actually went down to Key Largo, and I spent his last 5 months with him, taking care of him with hospice. And so, and I had a sister diagnosed with breast cancer as well, that year before me. And so again, like, it was like, okay, let's go. What are you going to do? Let's move on. So.
Well, and that's how you were receiving treatment last year during the season, right? While you were still continuing to coach full time.
Yes, I did. I had 2 surgeries, and then I had practice one morning, and then left right from practice and went and had my first surgery. And then I had to, unfortunately, they didn't get all the cancer, so I had to go and have another surgery. And then I had 33 radiation treatments all during the season. And I had them early in the morning, and you have to have them consecutive 5 days a week. And I took them at 6:30 in the morning because we practiced at 9:30, so that I wouldn't really miss anything. And I thought I would miss 5 games, but it turned out I only missed 1 game. And what I would do is I'd have treatment, we would have practice, then the team would leave and go to an away game and get in and get settled. And the next morning I would have treatment, and then I would Uber to the airport, and I would fly in and meet them for shoot around at whatever gym I was. And several times I had to leave after the game and get back, and I'd get back 4:35 in the morning to school, and I just stay right in my office, take a nap on the couch for an hour until I had treatment again. And so I think you can make it work. You can do it if you have a support system, and I had a phenomenal support system in my staff and my team.
Well, and obviously they were responding to how you were attacking it, and how you were courageous in your battle and diligent in what you were willing to do to make both of it work.
Yeah, they were great. They were amazing. Like, they just, it was a great opportunity to teach and to be an educator to my student athletes when I brought them over to the house to tell them. I was so worried about telling them, way more worried about telling my team than I was my personal kids. And again, I didn't want them to find out from anyone, because we are such a, Coach and Megan, you've been involved in coaching your whole life. We're such a close family, and the whole of it, whether it's volleyball, softball, basketball, we all know each other. Like, so I couldn't tell anyone, and I forbid my kids to tell anyone, my personal kids, because of my team. And I remember my husband said on the Saturday before my surgery was Thursday, when are you going to tell your team? Because I would really like to let my mom and my family know you have cancer. And I was like, oh okay. Tomorrow. I'm going to have them over tomorrow night for dinner. And so I texted everyone, said, tomorrow night we're having dinner at my house. And then I was able to tell my siblings as well, with the exception of my sister Bernie, who knew. And so they were terrific. And only one of the girls had ever known anyone that had cancer. And, they were so upset because all you hear is people dying of breast cancer. And I told them, it's like in the news with sports, all you hear in sports is the people that get arrested in sports. But there's hundreds of thousands of fabulous athletes out there doing fabulous things. And that's the same with breast cancer survivors. Like there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands, millions of breast cancer survivors. But unfortunately, the one that sticks with us is, oh my gosh, she passed away, breast cancer. And you're like, oh, there goes another one. But there's 40 more that that beat it. And we just kind of pass over that. So I wanted to shed a light on the ones of us that beat it.
Well, you're certainly kicking its ass.
Thank you. I hope so. I'm trying.
Well, and you referenced the pink game already. You just came off that last week. And let's backtrack to last year's Think Pink game and what a monumental moment that was for you and your family.
Well, it was great. I don't think about it much, but it was really huge. And all 5 of my kids flew in, which I said to them, dang, kind of sucks when y'all fly in because I have cancer, and they were like, well, you can use the C card now. And I'm like, oh my God, I would not do that. And so, but it was just amazing. We had an amazing time. And several of my brothers and sisters flew in as well. And Friday night, I had a huge dinner at my house here. Numerous former players came in from back when I was at Ryder. I mean, they flew in and they were here for Friday night. And then after the game, the pink game was amazing. We had about 1,600 people, and they endowed started a scholarship, the Agnus Berenato endowed scholarship. And so what I did was I just designated it for any student at Kennesaw that's been impacted by cancer. And, we're a big school. We have 38,000 students. And so how many people are impacted by cancer, and they can just apply for it. And there's a separate committee that gets it. And we already had a young lady win it this year. And, it was just, I think we did, just like I've done numerous years in a row for Pink Day, we did PSAs. My team did PSAs for breast cancer awareness. We had the health screening with WellStar. We had silent auction, and it was just incredible. And we were able to totally cover the scholarship by December of this year, which is amazing. And so that's something that will live forever at Kennesaw, that scholarship. And to have my family, and they all came back Saturday night after the game. We had a huge dinner here. And I mean, we even had the athletic director. We played NJIT. Lenny came by. He was at the house. And then Sunday we had a huge brunch. And then everybody left. And so, again, it's a shame you get together for those things. But at the same time, I'm living. And I'd rather we all get together for that than get together for a wake or a funeral.
Right. And last year, you also received the WBCA's Carol Ekman Integrity and Coaching Award, who was, that award was given to you by one of your former players, Danielle Donahue, Executive Director of the WBCA.
That was amazing. Honestly, that was a total shock and surprise, and really honored. And that's an award that, when you say for integrity at any minute, Megan, in this business, as in any business, your life can change in 1 second. We deal with the 18 to 23-year-olds, and that's just such a difficult age. And so they need to make really great decisions. And if they don't make great decisions, it reflects right back on you as the coach. So for me to receive that, and that it was chosen by my peers, honestly, I knew Carol Ekman, and it was just like, damn, oh my God, I can't believe it. It was amazing. It was really a tremendous honor for me. And then, of course, to have Danielle, who is the president, I'm so proud of her, of the WBCA, for her, when she called and told me that news, honestly, it was overwhelming, and very grateful and very thankful for my nominator, which was my assistant coach, and for, just everyone that voted for me, and for the WBCA. I think that the peers that voted for me, when I look at the people that got it before me, the Kay Yow's and the Tara Vanderdeers, and you go, I mean, these are my friends. These are people that gosh, we grew up together. And so to be in their company was just amazing.
Absolutely. And I guess there was a reason that everything was happening last year to you, and just accept what the universe was laying out in front of you.
I guess, yeah. It's usually what I do every day. Every day is a gift. And I think that you take what comes and you go with it. And some days, Megan, are going to be better days than other days. But I think in every day we have an opportunity to learn and an opportunity to impact someone or many people. And if we can get that opportunity, we should not let it pass us by. So last year I had some just really tremendous things happen, those little acolytes or whatever. And then I don't know, people might say, oh my gosh, well, how come it's not fair? How did you get cancer? You know what? It was a tremendous thing that happened. It was a great teaching moment for my team, for other women to really, I'm possessed and obsessed with getting yearly mammograms, and I always do. But, so I promote that, honestly, but make sure that everyone does it. And then the last thing is just, enjoy every day, because it is a gift and life is short. You don't really know how long we'll be here.
Absolutely. You referenced your mom, you referenced your family. Anyone listening to this will absolutely know that you come from a big family and how important family is to you. Let's go back to your childhood. Talk about growing up with just a couple brothers, a lot of sisters, how you got into basketball, the impact your mom really had on you growing up.
Yeah, I'm one of 10, and my mom and dad, and then my grandmom and aunt lived with us. So there were 14 in our home, and we had a wonderful childhood, a great childhood. We didn't have tons, but we had everything we needed. My father put a little slab in the yard and behind the garage with a hoop. And he said that we could always have our friends over to the house to play basketball, but we weren't going to be leaving the yard. That was like his rule. So the McGlade household was the household where everyone came. And we grew up in a neighborhood in a small town, Gloucester City, Irish Catholic, where everyone in our neighborhood had 10, 11, 12, 13 kids, 9 kids. If you had 8, you were like, what's wrong? Why'd you only have 8? And so, I mean, we had 150, 160 kids in our block, in our neighborhood. So he wanted us there. And the way we started playing basketball was just, we were in the yard. That was the choice. You were outside. We didn't do TV. We didn't have TV. And, for the girls, my sister Mickey was first, and then probably Bernie, my sister Bernadette, they were pretty good. We would practice all the time, but when the game started, they were with the guys, the boys. There were 6 girls and 4 boys. And the boys would always pick, and we always played winners. And you really had to work to get picked on a team, because it was always Nikki, Bernie, Agnes, and Teresa. My sister Teresa was really young, but we wanted to play. There were no other really girls that were going to play. And so that's how we learned how to play. And my father passed away. We were all very young. I was in 7th grade, and Bernie was in grammar school. My sister Teresa was in grammar school. We were all in school, all 10 of us. And my mom then went from being a housewife and a high school graduate to, she had to get a job, and she opened up a real estate firm, and all of us kids got jobs. I mean, we immediately, in 7th and 8th grade, I did cooking. I was the cook, and it was every night. It was 10 pounds of potatoes in the oven, and it was 10 pounds of chicken legs, or it was, on Friday, I can still tell you, we had potato puffs and potato tots, and we had Mrs. Paul's fish sticks. Like, I could tell you the menu. On Tuesday, we had hamburger stew. I mean, it was the same, but that's all we knew. So it was okay. And I had like I said, a wonderful, wonderful childhood. And I was very fortunate to be able to get out of Gloucester, as was my sisters, because of basketball. Basketball provided us an opportunity to get education, to leave right after high school. There was no Title IX. So I went to Europe and played basketball in France. I had another sister who was already over there. She played 2 years I played a year, and then my sister Bernadette was a senior in high school. And we actually all, when Title IX was passed, we all signed with the University of North Carolina the same year, and we were all freshmen. So that was pretty cool, you know, to have that. And then my sister Teresa had an opportunity, and she had a scholarship, but it was rare. And when you look at today, all of my daughters had the opportunity to go to college on a scholarship if they chose that. And it's just so different how just a couple generations, you know, we have to keep fighting and fighting and fighting. And like, I never settle. I don't want my girls to settle. I don't want my boys to settle. Like, we have to keep making it better for my grandkids now, and, you know, for your kids, or for Danielle's kids, or for whose ever kids.
That's right. And I'm glad you brought up the Title IX thing, because I was thinking that that's the way I remembered how it all panned out. So you went to Carolina, then walk us through how you decided to become a coach.
Well, all three of us went to Carolina, and Bernie and Mickey were phys ed majors, and I was theology. And I went because I wanted to go to Duke School of Divinity. They have a really good School of Divinity. I wanted to be a campus minister. And midway through my first year, I taught CCD on Sundays, which is Catholic, you know, education. My coach at Carolina told me I had to change my major to phys ed. And I said, I don't want to change it to phys ed. And she said, well, you need to change it to phys ed because, you know, you can't be going over to Duke. Your major is going to start, blah, 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 and you'll miss class. And I just said, no, I didn't come here for phys ed. She said, you can be a coach. I said, I don't want to be a coach. And so I made the decision, and I left Carolina. And I broke up the threesome. It was big, you know. And I remember telling my mom, what would you say if I gave up my scholarships and went someplace else? She said, you know, you're an adult. You can do whatever you want, but you're going to pay for it. I was like, okay. So I saw a sign, you know, those crazy signs in college that say, come to a meeting room and make, back then, probably $800 a week or whatever. And so I did it. I didn't tell my two sisters, and I signed up for it. And that summer I sold Bibles door to door, and I made a lot of cash, $8,600. And when I transferred to Mount St. Mary's, and because I wanted to be in theology, and they had a seminary, and I paid cash for my first year. Mickey and Bernie stayed at Carolina. And it was my senior year when we had Fred Carter was my coach. He was an NBA player. I played basketball, and he said, you know, Aggie, I've got a coaching gig for you. And I said, I'm not coaching. I'm campus minister. I had a couple job interviews to be campus ministers, actually Cary, North Carolina. So he said, no, you got to coach. I said, I'm not coaching. I'm not doing this basketball. Well, when, you know, a few days later, he came back. He said, listen, just give it 1 year. Holy Cross. You teach religion during the day, and you can coach the girls' basketball team. And I was like, maybe. Okay. So I took it. And by November, I was like, what am I doing teaching? This is terrible. And I had to get through the whole year teaching religion. It was awful. All I wanted to do was coach. And I was very fortunate that I was able to get a coaching job at Ryder. And I not only coached basketball, but I also coached volleyball, which was a real treat.
Well, and that in and of itself, you literally have just graduated, and you basically become a head coach. You're barely older than the student athletes themselves. So talk about that transition.
Actually, well, volleyball season was first, and I just didn't know volleyball. And I remember I went down to NC State, I think it was with, or maybe UNC with Beth Miller. And she had a camp, and I went through the volleyball camp. Here I was 22, and I was going through camp with little 7, 8, 9-year-olds, you know, learning about bumps at spike. And so when I came back and I realized my seniors were 21, the first 2 weeks of volleyball practice, we never even took a ball out. All we did was condition. I mean, I had girls hyperventilating in paper bags, and because, you know, on basketball, I'm like, you gotta be an athlete. And but it turned out really well, and I was able to hire. I paid for her on my own. Robin Ritter, who I gave her $800, and I only made $8,000 for the whole year. They gave her $800, and she was very good with volleyball in the AAU circuit. And she came and she helped me out, and we still, I believe, hold the all-time record at Ryder in volleyball. I got some great kids, and I got such great volleyball players, and I made some of them play basketball. And they were the ones that just came down. You know, they came to the pink game, and when we played at NJIT in January, they all came over to the game. And you know, I'm 63, but they're all 60, 61, and their kids are in college and out. And I'm like, I can't believe I was your coach. And they just laugh, and they're like, well, it's just like you had us. You know what I mean? Like, and I think, Megan, back then, a lot of us did that. You know, women's coaching, women got women's coaching jobs. They weren't the high pay that the men get. Women, you got jobs right out of school, and you were expected when you were done coaching, you went right into administration. You went in to be the, you know, senior women's administrator or the assistant athletic director. That was the path. And they were all women when I coached. And my greatest role models were, you know, Sue Dilley from Seton Hall, and Fern Labate, who was at Trenton State, and Pat Hennish at Kane, and Joan Martin at Monmouth. And they all, when they got done coaching, they all went into administration. I just stayed coaching, and I would say, I'm not going to coach when I'm their age. I remember Kay Yao one time Kay Yao and Chris were looking at them, and I don't know, I had 3 kids or so, maybe I had 4, I don't know, and coaching, and I thought to myself, I will not be doing this when I am their age. What are they doing? And now I look, I have an ARP card, and I'm still coaching. What's wrong with me? You know, but that's how Title IX has evolved. But unfortunately, the women aren't getting the jobs, you know, and like on my staff, I know I have all women on my staff. And if I don't give the women the opportunity, someone gave me an opportunity. And someone gave my sister Bernie an opportunity. Someone gave my sister Mickey an opportunity. So, you know, so if we don't give women opportunities, you know, how are we going to do it? Like last year, Khadijah was my associate head coach. And I thought I would miss a lot of games. I thought I'd miss 5. So I let her coach 2 games when I was there at the games. I told her, I'm just going to be your assistant. And because if I don't let her coach, how's she going to be head coach? Then she only had to do 1 on her own. But she was prepared because I let her coach. Like, I think coaches need to let their assistants coach. And I don't know. I don't know. I think you know, it just goes back to Title IX, women in sports, and women coaching. And, you know, the women are not getting the jobs in men. So if coaching is coaching, then let's go ahead and spread the wealth.
Well, and you're absolutely right. We have to prepare these assistants, just like you did with Khadijah, that when they're ready to step into that head coach, they're ready to be successful, because we know women get 1 shot. And if they're not ready to be in that position, and then they're not successful, then they're out of the industry.
And that's a fact, Megan. It's so true. Like, I remember when I had my second surgery. My second surgery was a surprise. Like, I was not expecting them to tell me like they found more cancer when the results came back, and I had to go back in. But we had just a scrimmage, like a closed scrimmage with UTC. And I was so upset because I could not go to it. And it didn't count anything, but I couldn't go. And so Khadijah, they took the team down to UTC, and I remember I got the phone call, and I had surgery on a Friday. This was a Saturday. And I said, how are we doing? She said, we won by 1. I said, what happened? She said, I have no idea. Coach me. It went so fast. I don't know what happened. I don't know how it happened. And I was like, what? And that's when I said, whoa. Like, so then when we went to Cancun last year, I said, Khadijah, you're going to coach tomorrow. And she was like, what? I said, you're going to coach. She said, what's wrong? Are you really sick? I said, not sick at all. I mean, I was exhausted, but I'm not sick at all. I said, but you know what? This is your opportunity. And to me, see, the win and the loss isn't the bottom line. I know I'm a coach, and it should be. But to me, it's about educating and trying to inspire other women to continue to broaden the field. And so she did. She coached. And I went and told the officials, hey, blah, blah, blah. And then I came, and that was a game where, there was no fans. Nobody was yelling at her. Nobody was doing anything. So then in December, we played at Georgia State, which is local, a lot of fans. Her parents were there. I said, Khadijah, you're going to coach. She said, what? I said, you're going to coach. And she was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Okay, I'm so excited. And I truly, I did a better job as an assistant the second time. I'll be honest. The first time, like, I was thinking about like my laundry list and what I had to do. And I'm like, man, this is what they think I'm on the bench, you know? But the second time I was on it, man, I was telling her who had what, blah, blah, blah. And at one point she was like, kind of like upset, saying to the official something. And the official was like, coach, calm down. And all of a sudden she was like, she like patted on the shoulder. She goes, oh, I'm sorry. This is my first time. I'm so excited. And I thought, you know what? I'm so happy I witnessed that. Because who knows if I'll be around when she does. She's going to be a phenomenal head coach. And I hope she takes over for me. That's the plan. But who knows if I'll be here or if I'll see it. But I saw her. I saw her in action. I was so proud. So again, just like all my players, I'm still very close to them. I look at Danielle Donahue, or, you know, I look at people. Right now, Megan, I have 2 girls on my team. Alexis Poole is a junior and Peyton Lewis is a sophomore. I coached their moms at Georgia Tech. And we won a national championship together. And I have their daughters on my team.
Wow.
So that's scary. But
that's amazing. Fun. Yeah. And I think everyone in our community knows Muffet has been very outspoken on championing women. And man, you have to be right there behind her. I wish more women knew how you felt about this. So they'll know after hearing this.
Well, I mean, look at my track record. I mean, just, you know, look where I've been. And again, I think back in the day, you know, and here's another thing though with that is that women have to be willing to put in the work and work hard and work long hours. And sometimes men, you know, men will work, men will do anything. Men will sleep in the locker room if they get a chance, a job. But sometimes women put all kinds of stipulations on you. And some of my best assistants have been men. Jeff Williams was one of my best assistants ever, you know. But at the same time, back then, it was hard. It's hard to find people. And right now, I always have a short list of people. And when I go recruiting, I sit and I look at coaches. And I see who's doing what, who's chatting, who's, you know what I mean? I think it's really important that women understand what it takes to get where, you know, they all want to be head coaches. But there's a, you know, it's like, know your seat on the bus.
We got to increase that pipeline somehow.
Yeah. Well, the only way we can increase it is hire them.
Mm-hmm.
Hire them. That's it. Teach them. But when you hire them, you better be vested and you better be able to teach them, because when the men are getting into the women, they've already had 10 years of experience on the men's side. And then they're coming over. So they're seasoned. Well, no one's hiring, no men's program's hiring a female for 10 years, and then they're able to get a head job. That's what's happening on the women's side. And so we just have to continue to promote women all the way around. And that's in administration, Megan. That's with what you're doing with WeCoach. That's what you're doing with your podcast, with, you know, your different symposiums that you have, your clinics that you have. Like, I mean, it's really awesome. We just have to continue to spread the word. And then while we're coaching, we have to make it enjoyable. Like for me, I've worked hard my whole life. I'm married. I have 5 kids. You know what? Everyone says, oh, well, you can't do it. Well, why can't you do it? Men do it. Of course we can do it. It's a matter of priorities.
Well, and we're going to talk about those 5 kids right after this break.
Serious coaches need a serious education. The University of Denver offers a highly interactive and applied online education for sport and strength and conditioning coaches of all backgrounds. Students benefit from a comprehensive yet flexible curriculum to help you achieve your personal and professional goals. Come and learn from professors who are renowned leaders in coach education and dedicated to your success. Submit an application year-round and begin during any 10-week quarter with the University of Denver. Invest in yourself now and turn your passion into a successful career as a coach. For more information, head over to wecoachsports.org/DU.
And now we're back with my guest, Kennesaw State women's basketball head coach Agnus Berenato. Let's talk about those 5 kids. And I do want to know how in the heck you did it all.
I don't know. You just do it. Like, if you don't know, you don't know what you don't know. I don't know. You did. My mom did it with 10. How did she do it with 10 with the high school education? Like, you just do it. And I think for me, we wanted a big family. You know, I told my husband, he's from 8 and I'm from 10 and Jack's great. And I said, listen, I'll have as many kids as you want, but I'm not staying home. you can take care of them. And so I think A, you have to have a great partner. B, I was very, very, I knew before I got married, and my husband knew before we got married what, I expected from family. We said that, no matter what, if we had a child that had a disability, we would take care of that child at home as long as we could. If we ever had a parent or a sibling that was struggling or in need, that we would take a leave of absence, or we would bring them into our home. And I was able to do that with my mom. I was able to do that with my brother. We had his parents come live with us for 2 years in a point of transition for them. Then his mom lived with us for another 2 years separate. I think you have to really talk about what happens, and I think we had a son, Joey, who was born with a cleft lip, cleft palate. And when I got pregnant with my next baby, who was Claire, the doctors wanted me to sign papers. They wanted me to have, all kinds of amniocentesis and this, that, which have risk. And I would not do it. Jack did not want to do it. Like, we weren't having a baby to have a perfect baby, to just have this perfect. We were having a child to have a child and to be impactful. And so, again, I think sometimes you go back to values, Megan, and we all chip in. I had to work. I had to find my way. I found out at one point when I would get home from work, the kids were in bed and I would have to leave early the next day, and I didn't see them, and I would go several days, and that wasn't good with me. That wasn't setting well. So if I had a day off, I would come home and Jack would be like, well, I'm going golf. And I'm like, what do you mean you're going golf? And like, I'm exhausted. And he's like, well, you're the one that chooses to work 6 days a week, 15 hours a day. I'm like, wait, it's not my choice. And he'd be gone. And I'd be Tilex in bathrooms. And so I had to really think, okay, wait, how's this going to work? So I made it where if I was in town, no matter what time of night it was, when we got home, we would have dinner together as a family. He was very regimented, 7:30, 8 o'clock, kids were in bed. And I was like, no, sometimes it'd be 10 o'clock at night and we would just start to cook. And I had cooking lessons with the kids. And we all talked around the table. And then, they would all go to bed. He'd be like, all right, up to bed. And now it's 10:30, 11 o'clock. And he would go up to bed and I'd be all the dishes. And then I was like, wait a minute, what is going on? And then I was like, okay, guys, dinner's done. Let's set the timer on the microwave. How long will it take us to do dishes? Someone say 10, one of the kids say 15, one say 8. Whatever time we put on it, man, let me tell you what, 14 hands is much quicker than 2 hands. I mean, they had the vacuum out. They were throwing plates to each other, washing. I'm like, what the hell took me so long? But it probably took me 6, 7, 8 years to come up with that. So it's just a process. But meal times were very important to us. Now, if I was in town, we had to eat and it would be late. I did carpool, at 6 a.m. with the kids that went to Pius when I was at Georgia Tech. Now at Pitt, the kids, they worked right along the route that I went to. I lived 2 miles from school and their schools were within 2 miles. So it was easy. But Jack did a phenomenal job for me, and he did a phenomenal job raising our kids. But I will tell you, there was never a day off, because when I had a day off, let me tell you what, he was gone. He was either hunting, fishing, golfing, because that was his time. And I understood that. And so I took my kids to the gym a lot. 3 of the 5 went on basketball scholarship to college. They all got masters. I just think, sports is the best thing in the world. The best thing in the world for a family is to surround them with another family, which is your team. And to this day, when I get a recruit, we signed 5 kids early on in November. I mean, when I say somebody like Claire or to Christy, hey, I got a new recruit, Jillian Piccolino from Pittsburgh. She's like, hey, sis, when can I call her? And I'm like, my kids call, because they become their families. And my personal kids are extremely close to my kids, like at Pittsburgh, Shavante Zealous and Mercedes Walker. They still, they call them, they text them, they reach out to them. And I don't know, I just think it's such a beautiful thing. I don't know why why women, why we don't do it more? I don't know. You just do it, you do it.
And one thing I never heard you say, we talked about what a great environment to grow up your children. And I personally know your kids, and I can't think of better people out in the world who are future leaders for us. One thing I never heard you say is you didn't ever talk about being guilty, that you were missing time at home with them. You adjusted what was important to you and your family to make it all work. And I think too often we hear these moms having mom guilt, that they're missing things instead of flipping the lens and looking at it the other way around.
That's a really valid point, Megan, and that's a great point. And you know what? I did a TED talk on this, and I don't feel guilty, and I didn't feel guilty. And I don't think any female should feel guilty because their husband is home, whether they're home with the kids, or whether their husband works and they have a nanny, or they go to daycare, they go to school. Men work, and men have worked their whole lives, and men go play golf, and then they barbecue, and they go watch the ball games on Monday nights and this and that, and they aren't feeling guilty. And I guess because I grew up in a home with such a strong mom, my mom just believed we could do anything we wanted, and it didn't really matter, like it didn't matter if you want to go ahead and coach and play basketball, go do that. But if you want to be a chef, you know what, have at it, go do that. But she never said, well, we can't do this because your father died, or we don't have the money for that. And it was always, if you want to do something, do it. Like, I know we wanted to go to Girl Scout camp, which is crazy, but well, good. You know what? You have to sell 2,000 boxes of cookies. Well, damn, we sold 2,001 boxes of cookies because, we wanted to go to Kathy Rush basketball camp. Well, in order to go to Kathy Rush basketball camp, we had to work the kitchen. We had to do the dishes and serve food to help pay for the camp. So there's always ways to do things. And I just feel like today that, maybe everyone's just a little bit entitled. And I think my kids are, they're no worse off, would I say, because we weren't there. Like, I didn't go to their games because I had games. My husband, he's only one person. He could only go to one game. They all played, so he would try to he would rotate them. And I could count them. I mean, my daughter played on a scholarship in college, Chrissy. I never saw her play one time. What are you going to do? It's not a big deal. Joey, I think I only saw him in college maybe 3 or 4 times. And I thought, oh my God, I'll definitely see him in the tournaments. And both those years, his team made it to the Sweet 16. My team made it to the Sweet 16. So I didn't get to see that either. But you know what? My kids don't feel bad. They didn't come to my game. We never videotaped it. The whole message with that is, like I remember the first time my daughter Claire she was on scholarship. She played for Seton Hill. No, Seton Hill, yeah. And she played Pitt, and I was coaching. And there was a reception for the parents at a place close by to me. So I went to the reception as a parent. Now she was a freshman, I was new. They didn't know I was the coach, the other parents. And all of a sudden, I get to the gym, and we have the game, and this girl takes baseline for Seton Hill, and one of my players, Tanisha Harrison, gave up baseline, and I believe in cutting off baseline. And I'm like, cut off baseline. And all of a sudden, the girl from Seton Hill turns, and she does a reverse layup, and she scores. And I'm like, don't let her. And I realize it's Claire, my daughter. And I start going, no, and I'm like, yes, Claire, yes, time out. And all of a sudden, the team, I'm like, how can you let her score on you? She's terrible. She's at Seton Hill for a reason, But I got my daughter to see. I saw her score her first collegiate basket, 2 points. Now, my team ran the next day for it, but it's not the point. And I had a Christmas tree up in my house. Every day I'm looking at it right now, and the first thing I do in the morning is flip it on. And this last thing I do at night is I turn it off because it makes me happy, and it reminds me every day is a gift. And I think that's how my kids are. Like, when we can be together, we're together. We don't celebrate birthdays on birthdays ever because they're all during season. It didn't happen. But they always have their favorite meal, and we do it when we're together because, again, you can celebrate anything on any day. And I don't even know when my kids' birthdays are. I don't even know the dates. But every day is so important to live and be thankful for. And my kids, I think, they literally believe the exact same thing.
Well, they're definitely special people. You and Jack both did a fantastic job raising them.
Jack did. On Mother's Day, Megan, he gets the Mother's Day cards. Okay.
That's awesome.
So, that's true. And Aunt Bernie helped a lot.
Right. Yeah. So you're 63. You mentioned your age. Do you feel that you have any regrets at this point in your career?
No, absolutely not. And the reason I paused on that, up until 2 days ago, I never would have paused, but 2 days ago, one of my former players from Pitt, Sarah Ugoke, she ended up, she left Pitt. I helped her leave. She's brilliant. And she probably needed to play at a different level than the Big East. And so she came to a school, Southern Polytech, which is right now, that is Kennesaw State. And now I'm at Kennesaw, and Sarah got inducted into our Hall of Fame in October, which was amazing because I coached her. Well, Sarah made the Nigerian national team, and on Sunday, they played USA, and it was a 5-point game, and they beat like Serbia on Friday, but they qualified for the Olympics. And so I was telling my team on Monday, like, one of our Hall of Famers from Kennesaw, and she was our guest coach this year, is going to the Olympics. Like, this is one of us. She's going to the Olympics. I was like, oh my God, I always had a dream to go to the Olympics. And one of the kids said, well, what happened? And I said, well, obviously, I have to get there as a coach. And I can remember being asked to coach USA basketball. But I had talked to another mom that coached, and they just said how hard it was because of being away, blah, blah, blah. And I just made the decision then and there that, you know what, I wanted to keep the main thing. And any time I had that was free time, I wanted to spend with my family. So that was something that just went away. Now, I've gone to several Olympics, so that's, the only thing. But I feel like I represented my country. And the whole goal of the Olympics is to represent your country, right? Like, you want to represent USA. But I represented my country when I got the opportunity to go visit our troops in Afghanistan, Kuwait, Qatar. And that was the highest honor I've ever had because of basketball, coaching basketball, to go over and visit our troops. And I was the only female that was asked to do that. And I believe the only female since. It was with 4 other D1 men's coaches. To really see and be upfront and close, and to go through a live rocket attack, and to see what our troops do for us so that me and you can be here on this podcast is amazing. So, but no, I have no regrets whatsoever. No.
You are 63. What's your life going to look like when you are no longer on the sidelines?
I will work, full-time hospice for sure. I hope to be on a speaking circuit, be able to go ahead and speak. I love motivational speaking. I think that the opportunity to impact at least one person in a crowd or one person every day is hugely important to me. So I would like to do that. I would like to complete a book that I have started writing. And I just want to really spend time, with my kids and my grandkids and my siblings. It's the most important thing to me. My family and my friends. And, I have a million acquaintances, but very few close friends and their family. And so that's what my next life will look like.
With a cocktail in hand, no doubt.
Oh, gin and tonic, of course. Yeah, sure. Coffee in the morning. So, yeah, coffee in the morning, gin and tonic in the afternoon. Hey, I lived in Key Largo. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, baby doll.
That's right. So, Ag, we end every episode with rapid fire. I could put you on the hot seat right now.
Okay, fire.
Name something on your bucket list.
I've done it all.
You've done it all. All right, I love it. What keeps you awake at night?
When one of my student athletes is struggling.
Do you have any game day routines or superstitions?
No.
What's the favorite arena you've ever coached a game?
Probably the Pit in New Mexico, because we beat Baylor to go to the Sweet 16. And that was like balls to the wall on. It was awesome.
What a great place to do that at too.
But I don't know, that tunnel, man, I wear high heels and that was stressful. But it was awesome. It was great.
What last parting advice do you have for any of our young women and young coaches out there?
Follow your heart and be passionate. I think that you can do anything you want to do, but it's not going to be easy. And I think that, the younger generations, they're used to working 8 hours or 7 hours or 6 hours. And, it's a lot harder than that, whether you're in coaching or whether you're a mom or you're a spouse or, you're CEO of a hospital or an athletic director. You have to put your time in, and you can do it all. You can do it all, but you have to be balanced. And, you might have to give up some of those Thursday night or Friday night martinis or Cosmos and just say, okay, I just need to just be home and catch my breath, because that's where your health comes in, and you have to take care of yourself. In order to influence others, you have to be really healthy yourself. And so I guess that's my parting advice. And don't be afraid to pat yourself on the back and say, good job. Because if you don't pat yourself on the back, ladies and gentlemen, then you know what? No one else will.
Great advice. I can't thank you enough for taking time right in the smack middle of your season to join us here on the WeCoach podcast.
It was awesome, Megan. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're going to be cheering for you down the stretch.
Okay, 6 games left, baby. Let's go for it.
Hi, I'm Dr. Nicole Lavoie, host of Tucker Center Talks. Every 2 weeks, we'll talk about a variety of topics that make a difference in the lives of girls and women in sport. I'll talk to leading scholars around the world, and we'll share our cutting-edge research. Tune in to Tucker Center Talks on Wisp Sports, wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Subscribe to Wisp Sports in your podcast app to catch each new episode dropping every other Thursday. For more information on all things Wisp Sports or WeCoach, check out our social media pages at WeCoach or at Wisp Sports on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And until next time, all sports, one voice, WeCoach.